There is a moment in every high-stakes dynamic between a man and a woman that carries more weight than 1,000 conversations. It isn't a moment of grand romantic gestures or loud arguments. Instead, it is a quiet, internal click, a moment when the man finally truly lets go. Most men spend their lives terrified of this moment. They think that if they let go of the emotional rope they've been pulling, the woman will simply drift away and disappear forever. But in the reality of deep-seated human psychology, the opposite is almost always true. The second you stop pulling, the second you stop trying to control the outcome and surrender your need for her validation, a massive power shift occurs that she can feel in her very bones. This is the moment the pedestal shatters, and for the first time, she is forced to look up at you instead of looking down at a man who is constantly trying to please her. In the olden days, this was a natural part of the masculine experience. A man's emotional world was anchored in his tribe, his survival, and his legacy. He didn't have the time or the inclination to obsess over a woman's mood shifts or her delayed replies. He was detached by necessity, and that detachment made him a pillar of strength. But in recent times, we've been sold a different story. We've been told that to be a good man, you have to be hyper-attuned to her every emotional flicker. You've been conditioned to lean in whenever she pulls away, to ask what's wrong 12 times a day, and to treat her like the sun that your entire world revolves around. The problem is that when you do this, you create a massive power imbalance. You've effectively handed her the keys to your emotional kingdom, and nothing kills a woman's attraction faster than realizing she has total power over the man she's supposed to respect. Connected to this is the specific vibration a woman picks up on when a man is still holding on too tight. Women are biologically wired to be experts at reading social and emotional cues. She can sense when your unbothered act is just a front. She can smell the subtle desperation when you're waiting for her text, even if you wait an hour to reply. But the power shift she feels when you truly let go is unmistakable. It's the feeling of a heavy weight suddenly being lifted. When you stop caring if she stays or goes, when you stop trying to fix her bad mood, and when you stop seeking her approval for your life choices, she feels a sudden drop in her own status relative to yours. For the first time, she realizes that the security of having you in her pocket is gone. This creates a psychological shiver because deep down, a woman doesn't actually want to be the one in total control. She wants to be with a man who is his own master. Imagine the internal dialogue she begins to have when she realizes the shift has happened. In recent times, most women have become accustomed to men who are easy to read. They know exactly which buttons to push to get a reaction out of a guy. But when you let go, those buttons stop working. You become a black box to her. When she tries to provoke you with distance or coldness, and you simply respond with a polite, detached, "Okay," her brain goes into overdrive. She starts to wonder, what changed? Did he find someone else? Has he finally realized he can do better? This is the birth of the chase. By letting go of the outcome, you have inadvertently turned yourself into the prize. You've moved from being the pursuer to being the destination. And that is the only place a high-value man should ever be. Connected to this is the concept of the emotional pedestal. When a man is holding on too tight, he is essentially standing at the base of a pedestal, looking up and begging for a crumb of attention. From that height, the woman can only see the top of your head. She can't see your strength, your vision, or your worth. When you let go, you are effectively stepping off the ground and rising to a level where you are looking her in the eye. Or better yet, looking past her toward your own future. This shift is jarring for her. It's like a person who has been leaning against a wall only to have that wall suddenly move. She loses her balance. She realizes that her power was entirely dependent on your compliance. Without your need for her, she has no leverage. This is the moment she starts to put in the effort she was previously withholding. She starts to check in on you. She starts to be more agreeable, more feminine, and more attentive. Why? Because she's trying to win back the old you who was easier to control, while simultaneously being more attracted to the new you who doesn't need her at all. In the olden days, a man's silence and his distance were respected as signs of his inner work. Today, in our hyper-connected era, those same qualities are often labeled as toxic or avoidant. But don't let the labels fool you. The power shift is a fundamental law of human nature. You cannot have attraction without tension, and you cannot have tension if you are always leaning in. When you let go, you are reintroducing the tension. You are saying, I am a complete man with or without your presence. This is the ultimate frame. It's the realization that you are the architect of your own happiness. When a woman feels this, it actually makes her feel safer. It sounds counterintuitive, but a woman feels more secure with a man who can walk away from her than with a man who is terrified to lose her. A man who can't say no to her can't say no to the world, and that makes him a weak protector. Connected to this is the psychological withdrawal she experiences. When you've been the one providing the majority of the emotional labor and you suddenly stop, she feels a void. In recent times, psychologists have noted how much of our love is actually just an addiction to validation. When you stop being the validator, she starts to crave that fix. She will often go through stages of the power shift. First, she might be angry or indignant. She'll try to punish your detachment with more distance. But when she realizes that her distance doesn't bother you, when she sees that you're actually thriving in your own space, the anger turns into anxiety. This is where the drop we've talked about before happens. She realizes that she is replaceable, but you are not. She realizes that your attention was a gift, not a right. Think about the way a man behaves when he is truly let go. He doesn't look for signs. He doesn't analyze her social media. He doesn't wonder if she's talking to other guys. He's too busy. He's back in the gym. He's back on his grind. He's back to hanging out with his brothers and building his world. This vibe is infectious. It radiates a sense of pre-selection and high value. Even if you aren't actually seeing other women, the fact that you aren't thirsty for her makes her assume that you must have other options. This is the mystery that drives women crazy. In the olden days, men didn't have to try to be mysterious. They just lived lives that were separate from women. Today, you have to consciously reclaim that separation. You have to let go of the idea that you need to be integrated into every part of her life. Connected to this is the reinitiation phase. Once she feels the full weight of the power shift, once she realizes that you are no longer the one pulling on the rope, she will almost certainly try to reinitiate. But she won't do it with a direct apology or a grand confession. She'll do it with something small, a "how are you?" or "I saw this and thought of you." Most men fail here. They think, "Oh, thank God she's back," and they immediately go back to their old, needy ways. They give up the power shift as soon as they get a crumb. But the man who is truly let go doesn't snap back like a rubber band. He stays in his detached frame. He is polite, he is warm, but he is no longer hooked. This is what cements the power shift permanently. It shows her that the change wasn't a tactic, it was an evolution. In recent times, we've forgotten that the strongest position in any negotiation is the ability to walk away and mean it. This applies to business, and it applies even more to relationships. When you let go, you are essentially entering a permanent negotiation from a position of total strength. You aren't holding it over her head. You are simply living your life in a way that says, "My time is valuable, and I only spend it where it is reciprocated and respected." When a woman feels this, her respect for you skyrockets. She might not tell you, she might even complain about it, but her actions will change. She will become more respectful of your time. She will stop the test games. She will start to follow your lead because she finally trusts that you are a man who actually has a lead to follow. The power shift is not about being a jerk. It's about being an independent. It's about moving from a state of emotional dependence to a state of masculine autonomy. When you were holding on, you were a child looking for a mother's approval. When you let go, You become the man she can actually lean on. The irony is that by letting go of her, you actually make it possible for her to truly love you, because you cannot truly love someone you don't respect, and you cannot respect someone who is a slave to your emotions. By reclaiming your power, you are giving the relationship a chance to be healthy for the first time. In the olden days, there was a clear order to things. Men led, and women followed. In recent times, that order has been scrambled, leaving both men and women confused and frustrated. The power shift is your way of restoring that natural order in your own life. It is the realization that you are the captain of your ship, and while you might enjoy having a first mate, you are perfectly capable of sailing through the storm alone. Once you believe that, she will believe it too. And once she believes it, the shock of your distance will transform into the gravity of your presence. So, if you're feeling like you're losing the power struggle, if you're tired of the games and the pulling and the chasing, there is only one thing left to do. Open your hand. Drop the rope. Let the outcome be whatever it's going to be. The moment you feel that weight fall to the ground is the moment your life truly begins again. The power shift isn't something you do to her, it's something you do for yourself. And in the end, that is the most attractive thing a man can ever do. Focus on the mission, focus on the growth, and let the silence do the talking. You'll be amazed at how quickly the world, and the woman you were so afraid to lose, starts trying to catch up to you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Unmasked Love for more videos like this.